If it's Tuesday, that means it's time for another video from Tulgywood TV, because there's a brand new Tulgywood TV video right here on this YouTube channel every single Tuesday. I'm sure, like you, I really love Christmas music and have a number of Christmas albums that I really treasure. But I'm wondering if you can guess what my favorite Christmas album of all time is. I'll reveal that at the end of the video, and you can see if you were right in your guess. So let's take a look at some favorite Christmas albums, starting with a real tradition over the years, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Believe it or not, their first album was in 1910, and on the Columbia Masterworks label, they issued a good number of classic albums over the years. This first one is actually on the CBS Special Projects label, which is part of Columbia, called It's Christmas. Now this is a festive cover, lots of Christmas stuff going on. This is from 1994. Well, this one was issued way back in 1960, one of their real classics. And I love this cover, even though it's quite simple, it has a great elegance to it. Christmas carols from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the Holly and the Ivy. Here's an album from 1961, and this has a great cover because they used a true masterpiece here, courtesy of the Metropolitan Museum in New York. This is Di Lorenzo's The Nativity, and it even has some great liner notes on the back explaining all these carols, well known and not, from around the world. Thanks to their presence on radio and television, and now YouTube, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir has become a great tradition for anyone who loves Christmas, regardless of religious affiliation. And they have always covered songs both sacred and secular, so it's a real treat. So if you want to check out their YouTube channel, I'll put a link in the show notes, because they present all kinds of music throughout the year, but especially in the Christmas season. Now here we have another Christmas tradition, Captain Kangaroo. And if you saw my earlier video about Captain Kangaroo, you know a little bit about him, including the fact that many record albums were released over the years with Captain and his friends, and this is no exception. This is a real classic that a lot of people seem to remember, and this is Captain Kangaroo's Merry Merry Christmas, originally issued as Captain Kangaroo's Merry 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 Christmas. I might have lost a Merry in there somewhere, but it was simplified for this later re-release. Now, one thing you may know about Bob Keeshan, who played Captain Kangaroo, is that he wasn't the best vocalist in the world. He kind of did a Rex Harrison / My Fair Lady type singing that was sort of speaking but sort of singing all at the same time. So it really worked out, and the songs are lots of fun. And as it says, Lumpy Brainham as Mr. Green Jeans, well, he really was a vocalist and a true musician, played all kinds of instruments, and was, in fact, a member of Fred Waring's Pennsylvanians, that famous vocal group. Disney fans will have seen him on the famous Alice in Wonderland episode of the Fred Waring TV show, where Hugh Lumpy Brainham played the Mad Hatter alongside Catherine Beaumont. And as it says, we've got songs like Sleigh Ride, Joy to the World, Silent Night, Jingle Bells, and 10 other holiday favorites. That's a lot of songs. Doesn't mean the Captain was singing on all of these either, so don't worry. Now, this Captain Kangaroo album is really special because he introduces you to the Nutcracker Suite. This includes a really classic narration by Bob Keeshan as Captain Kangaroo of that famous story immortalized in Tchaikovsky's ballet, which of course is used in Walt Disney's Fantasia. But this is also noteworthy because this record was used by the famous Bob Baker Marionette Theater here in Los Angeles. When the puppeteers performed the Nutcracker Suite, they performed it to this recording. As so many live theater institutions are experiencing right now, they are really having their troubles with the quarantine. So they're, in fact, in the middle of a big fundraiser. So again, if you would like to go to their website and make a contribution, it would go a long way to ensure that this wonderful institution endures. Now, here is another CBS television star that you weren't expecting to see, I'll bet, John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard, with his 1981 Christmas album called White Christmas. And it's really kind of easy to tell that this album is from the late 1970s, early 1980s. I'm sure you see exactly what I mean. But if you've never heard John Schneider sing, he really has a wonderful voice. And this album is definitely worth checking out. It's really quite wonderful. I really like the fact that poor John Schneider probably said, I don't want this album to have anything to do with the Dukes of Hazzard. This is me, as myself, singing, and there's no mention of the Dukes of Hazzard. But CBS Records could not resist putting a sticker on the outer clear plastic covering that says, star of CBS TV's The Dukes of Hazzard, and perhaps they were looking for a way to boost sales. But to me, this is a really classic album. And how can you resist it? Yeehaw! Bo Duke, go! Next, we have one of the most fascinating Christmas albums, Merry Christmas America, from the Radio City Music Hall. Now, we all know that the Radio City Music Hall continues to present their Christmastime Spectacular, starring the Rockettes. For decades, the Christmas Spectacular was part of a bigger show at Radio City Music Hall, the nation's showplace, because of course they used to show movies. It's really a movie palace. This album was issued in 1972. At Christmas time 1970, the movie was appropriately Scrooge, starring Albert Finney, a musical that so many people really love. And in 1971, the year before this album was released, the Christmas time feature was Bedknobs and Broomsticks. But for over 50 years, at Christmas time, Radio City Music Hall would showcase on the giant screen a great movie, and then on the great stage, the Christmastime Spectacular would be presented. Now, this is a real artifact because not only does it present the songs that were heard, but we also have some great photos, including we can see the great kind of sunburst design that's part of the overall Art Deco design of the music hall, the great stage, the orchestra, and even some of the audience in this mammoth theater. And if we look real closely, we can see that it is the nativity section of the spectacular, which of course is telling the story through great pageantry of the birth of Jesus. We can see this beautiful, beautiful set. The stable is here, the manger, the great pageantry with all these costumes, very stylized. And inside, more photos from all different aspects of that stage spectacle, and even some of the history of the Christmas time show that was originally presented in 1933, with Radio City Music Hall itself having opened in 1932. So what a great artifact this is. Now here we have a real Yuletide treat, the story of Christmas, as sung and told by Tennessee Ernie Ford. There is a strong Disney connection, which we'll get to in a moment, but anytime Tennessee Ernie Ford sings, well, really anything, but especially Christmas songs, we really want to take a listen, because although he's mostly forgotten now, he was not only a tremendous singer, but a great performer with a great presence, so he was perfect on television. His long-running TV series, The Ford Show, sponsored by Ford Motor Company, that weekly variety show was an enormous hit, had great creativity and production value every single week. And as an aside, it's also fun for Peanuts fans because in that era, the Ford Motor Company was using Charlie Brown and his friends as spokespersons, and the Ford commercials featured the first animation, yes, predating A Charlie Brown Christmas in 1965, that was seen on TV. It was color cast in 1963 and was the first TV special to be presented without any commercials. The sponsor was General Mills, and they did not want to interrupt the wonderful proceedings, especially the nativity story as read by Tennessee Ernie Ford, with choral arrangements and original music by Roger Wagner and sung by the Roger Wagner Chorale. And here's where we have the Disney connection, because the artwork, as perhaps you can see here, was done by Eyvind Earle, the Disney legend famous for his production design of Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty, which you heard me talk about in my Sleeping Beauty video. And I'm sure you recognize his style here. So what audiences saw was an 11-minute animated film created by Eyvind Earle, and certainly with his unique style. And again, we can see his art here, and that makes this album cover really a frameable work of art in itself. Now, I promised at the beginning of the video that I would reveal to you my all-time favorite Christmas album. It's John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together. This also was a spin-off of a TV special that aired on ABC in 1979, which was the height of the Muppet Show craze, and it's really an all-time classic. Now, John Denver was a great match with the Muppets because, aside from his singing talent, he was very sincere, had a sense of humor, had a lot of heart, also a little bit otherworldly, far out, which also did not hurt in terms of meshing with the Muppet weirdness. But he performed beautifully with the Muppets, and they really sang some beautiful songs. This album contains songs from the original soundtrack of that special, but also some that are not heard in the special itself, and also a few that were redone especially for this album. And I do have to say that this record is even better than the TV special. It's a fantastic experience. So if we look inside, yes, that's right, it's a gatefold. And look at this. We have some wonderful Muppet art in sort of either Christmas cards or sheet music, depending on how you look at it, with this fantastic art by the greatest Muppet artist there ever has been, Michael K. Firth. He was an art director for Jim Henson Associates. His art is always worth looking at and celebrating, but we certainly have some wonderful examples here. The Christmas Wish, Kermit. We Wish You a Merry Christmas, John and the Cast. Can you believe how great this art is? It's just fantastic. And then, because this is a gatefold, another treat is that not only do we have this wonderful cover, but take a look at this. It opens up into this great treat of so many of the Muppets. And that's where we can see what is really my favorite part, Gonzo here with this old-fashioned heralder's trumpet. And they're all dressed in Victorian garb, as you can see. So what could be better than that? Well, as a matter of fact, there's yet another treat, a special bonus. Yes, it's true, a poster. The album itself is kind of a Christmas present, so this is a Christmas present within a Christmas present. How fantastic is that? And if you're inspired to seek this album out, purchase it on eBay or some such, make sure that the poster is included, because it often is not. And luckily for everyone, this fantastic album, again, my favorite, has been issued over the years on CD and is available today on iTunes. But again, be on the lookout, because there was a CD that only contained 10 tracks and not the 13 that were on the original. This has all 13, so that's the album and the version that you want to get. Now, why, you might ask, is this my favorite? Well, aside from featuring the Muppets, and they are such fantastic performers, they do these wonderful versions of many favorite Christmas songs. But there are also some ones that are a little unfamiliar. Like if you saw earlier, the Peace Carol. That's a song that's been around for a while, but it's not very well known. And John Denver and Scooter do a wonderful duet along with the rest of the cast chiming in. But again, not only wonderful musical performances, but with that Muppet heart that John Denver so easily fit in with. So there are some beautiful moving performances here. And as if to prove that John Denver was a great fit with the Muppets, the concept for this album was created by both Jim Henson and John Denver. They obviously had a great creative relationship. And a perfect example is The Christmas Wish, that song that is sung by Kermit the Frog and John Denver. And according to Kermit, It doesn't matter who you are or what you believe, as long as you believe in love. And if you believe in love, you can celebrate Christmas.
Christmas is the time to come together, a time to put all differences aside. And I reach out my hand to the family of men to share the joy I feel at Christmas time. For the truth that binds us all together, we would like to say a simple prayer, that at this special time you will have true peace of mind and love to last throughout the coming year.